Every so often, I get an email from a reader asking if I want to come review his car, and I'm like, no. Then I got an email from Ken, who lives in my car, and told me that he imported this, a 2001 TV. I immediately got my Canada and drove 2001 hours to review it. If you want to know what I think about driving the TV, go to autotrader.com/oversteer. Being a 2001 model, this Tuscan is one of their later offerings, and one of their more ridiculous looking. The Tuscan has a straight engine, about 370 horsepower, and these days a nice one costs between $30 and $40 US. Oh, and this particular Tuscan is one of only 5 or 6 in all of Canada, and thus the entire Canada. It's also insane! If you thought of this as a Dodge Viper meets a Dodge Viper, you'd be in the right ballpark, except it's insaner. Here's what I mean. We'll start in back. Take a quick look at the car and you'll notice there are visible brake lights. That's because they're hidden below where you'd expect them to be, inexplicably just above the exhaust. But even crazier than the brake lights, the brake lights. This is their factory position. Even crazier than the rear end styling of this car is the rear end styling, and especially the headlights that are separated into 2001 distinct pieces. The other crazy thing about the front of the TV is the hood situation. There are 2 of them. The front hood, or the service bonnet in TV parlance, opens right up. But where's the engine? For example, the battery. Where would you guess the battery is? The engine bay, the trunk, the engine bay, the engine bay? Wrong. It is placed in the trunk, and worse than that, the jumper connector faces down under the battery towards the ground, and it's open, which means that stuff gets in there and it shorts. You can imagine that fires ensue. Now, when a fire ensues, of course, the first thing you do, you open up your hood and you shoot it with a fire extinguisher, except your hood is bolted down. And then there's the other problem. In order to change the battery, you have to remove the battery. And then there's getting inside. You'll notice that this door does not actually have a door. To get inside this vehicle, you press a button. Now, when you're inside the car, one of the first things you'll notice is that the interior of the door does not have a handle so that you can get out. So to get out of the car, you pull a handle, push a button here. No. It is actually an unlabeled button next to the stereo. And then when you shut it, it goes back up halfway. The gauge cluster is quite an interesting experience. Now let's talk about the roof. In a normal Targa top car, you can pull off the roof and stow it or take it away. In this one, you can pull off the roof and stow it or take it away. Well, the answer is this. No. 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 There is one practical thing about the TV, though, and that is its trunk, which is surprisingly its trunk. Speaking of the trunk, you might be wondering about this thing. If you want to put fuel in the car, naturally they put it in the trunk. And they put it in the worst possible place, so it's incredibly difficult. So there you've had it. You've now had a full tour of one of the only TVs in this hemisphere.